Alex.
And we're Enchanterium.
In this video, we're returning to our Zodiac series with Gemini. Gemini's type is, and the birthstone is, to avoid confusion.
You guys were such meanies last time with Alex's pronunciation. We decided that we should randomize the prompts by
A fishing game.
They are so cute. Oh my god. I decided to kind of make it a little bit more difficult by adding some string. We will number the fish.
Don't beat me.
How should I do it? Because I can just whoa.
Yeah, show us how you can do it.
It's not easy with a string, okay?
The number is 11.
It's impossible.
Can you guide me?
No.
I want the green one.
Both of the big ones?
No. I don't think I am good at this.
It's really not that difficult.
15. So for 11 we've got feathers, and for 15 it's demon. I actually like the feather one because it will be good with air.
And demon, well, it's a Gemini, so I think it kind of fits with how they're sometimes portrayed.
So one being a demon, one being an angel.
I mean, that works with the feathers and the demon.
That is true.
See you on the workstation! At the end of the series, you can win the Zodiac dolls if you become a patron. And I'm honestly starting to think that we should give away these games too, because I don't know what we're gonna do to them.
We're using them once.
It's not a very exciting game, to be honest.
True.
We didn't have it as kids, and I don't regret that.
For today's project, I chose a doll I haven't worked with before, Gigi Grant. 2 of them, to be exact. They are going to be twins, so they have to match. Doing 2 dolls mean double the prep. But as usual, I cut off their factory hair and removed their heads from the bodies to scrape out the roots and glue through the neck hole. At this stage, I realized that one of the heads had some damage, which would not work for what I had in mind, so I found a third Gigi in our stash and prepared her too. Since the doll will have 2 heads, they need to be a bit smaller to balance out the shape of the doll, so I'm giving them an acetone bath to shrink them. While they soak for 2 hours in pure acetone, we can take care of the rest. The bodies also get a dramatic transformation, as we only need their torsos. Should we keep the legs for some weird Frankendoll? I sanded the upper parts of the body so the paint would stick better to the surface, because at this point I thought we're going to paint them. But no, you will see in a few minutes. And in the meantime, our heads blew up in size. Don't worry, it's normal, and they will become smaller as the acetone evaporates. I cleaned the leftover bits of paint and set the heads aside. Here's how big they are compared to the original Gigi. We want our Zodiac series to blend smoothly with our usual content, and because it's May and Mermay, she's going to be a mermaid. We did a few mermaids before. Some had sequin tails worn on their legs, some were sewn with no legs inside. We had a few 3D printed ball jointed tails, and now it's time for a sculpture. She's going to be a half doll, half figurine, just as our Octavia and Akoya dolls, hard bottom and posable top. With some aluminum wire, I made a snake. When I'm happy with the direction of it, I cover it in tin foil to save on clay later and on to block out the shape more. I asked Barb to prepare some polymer clay for me as I was running low on epoxy, and she rolled it out in these ugly brown sheets, but this layer does not need to be pretty as it will be painted later anyway. After a few days, the shrunken heads are smaller than the original one. Now that they are in the size we need, let's catch up with Barb's crazy shenanigans.
So, welcome to our kitchen. I'm wearing a McDonald's apron because I can. Okay, let's move on.
Schreckt. 3, 2. Gotcha.
It's not our first rodeo, so here's what's happening. We have polyester dye mixed with some water, and we are trying very hard not to eat it because it kind of looks like beetroot soup.
Barszcz. Is it Christmas?
For some reason, the red dye was a bit splotchy and it was leaving some dark marks on the doll. I've dyed dolls other colors before and that didn't happen, but I don't know what's wrong with this one.
Welcome to Canning with Barb. Today we're preserving forbidden beetroot soup. Don't eat it.
Do you think we should censor it on YouTube?
It's not blood. Would you censor beetroot soup? It got a little bit of spillage on. I showed it before, it's not because of I spilled it, okay?
After pretending that the pot was a big diva cup, here's how the doll color has turned out. We only put the doll in for about 30 to 40 seconds in the dye, and the color is pretty intense, so a little goes a long way. Now, back to sculpting.
Our lovely patrons voted for the doll to have 2 separate torsos and be joined at the butt. So that's how I'm putting all the things together. I used some hot glue to keep everything in place and stuffed tinfoil in the gaps to make everything a bit more stable. Then I started to smooth everything over with epoxy sculpt. I didn't like the front because it was bulky, so I took it off, but I ran out of epoxy. I don't have any more of this, and for some reason I thought that I can't put this in the oven, so that's why I was using epoxy. But if I can sculpt with these and put this whole thing in the oven, then I'm okay, right? Let's try this. I can't recommend baking this kind of doll where there's hot glue inside. I thought I could do it all with epoxy, but I wasted a lot of it for failed attempts and I didn't have enough for the final layer. The hot glue melted and the things got displaced, and also one of the torsos got a little bit distorted, so they were not symmetrical anymore. I had to get creative for the back, and I did one butt for each of them and then one that they share. Don't ask me how it works. I hope this time nothing bends, nothing melts, nothing... No właśnie nie mogłam! That's the problem. I actually could make it a little bit more straight again. The torsos were moldable for like 20 seconds. The tail ended up looking like this with the scales. I wanted them to look a little bit like small feathers, but to be still scales. Now it's time to paint. The dye made it a bit too dark, so I'm using acrylic paint to adjust the color to my vision. For the tail I used white gesso primer first, and since the packaging says that you can blend it with acrylics, I'm starting to make a gradient. I want this doll to be a demon and angel combination, but not as we said in the intro. I want a blend of these themes. I also want the colors to resemble a sunset, another blend of another iconic pair, day and night. And that's why I'm doing a gradient from red through orange, yellow, white, and going to blue. Now, let's place the heads back on the body.
Let's try. Yes. Ta-da!
A little bit of damage here, but otherwise it's very nice.
You are deformed. I am deformed.
I'm really glad that the shrinking turned out well. The size is perfect, still cartoony but not too big, and they don't have to tilt heads like Perry and Pearl from Monster High. I added some matte varnish to the paint on the whole doll and began with the Faceup. I'm starting with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear UV cut flat as a base. The process is going to be a little bit chaotic as I'm painting 2 heads at the same time, but I'll try to show it as clearly as I can. I'm using watercolor pencils to do the sketch and adding layers of the Mr. Super Clear sealant whenever I feel like the surface doesn't take more pigment. When I started designing this doll, I knew that I wanted them to look very similar, so the same skin, the same eye color, the same hair, like they were born completely the same. But you know, then life happens and they have different personalities and this alters their looks. So I chose to do 2 different expressions using the same colors and techniques. I want one with her eyes relaxed and the other one with the open eyes. I thought about making one cheerful and the other one sad or evil, but this would make the black and white angel and demon style that I want to avoid. It's against my blending politics, you know? So the girl on the left got innocent looking brows and the girl on the right side got a confident look. It makes them look more balanced and nuanced. Nobody's evil, nobody's good, they all nice. For the lips, first I wanted a gradient made with pastels, but I decided to go for a more cartoony style to fit with the stylized tail and the scales, so I changed them to a full coverage matte lipstick. The eyes are also going to be not very detailed to fit with the cartoony vibe. I also don't want them to be too realistic because of the vibrant color palette and a demon/evil influence. I simply don't want them to look scary or hellish, and I hope the stylized aesthetic will soften the overall impression. At this point of the face up, I'm using both watercolor pencils and acrylic paints to do the eyes, brows, eyeliner, and start adding pastels as an eyeshadow. Later, we realized they look a bit like our mermaid doll Nareen. Vibrant skin color, yellow eyes, horns, and overall demon vibe, and I want to talk about inspiration. This is the kind of project that is similar to a different doll, but that doesn't mean she's an exact copy. We just use similar styles and techniques, and we encourage you to learn from our videos and do exactly that. Look at what you like from our work and apply it in your style to your projects. Not like some thieves that copy the entire doll and have the audacity to call it my idea or a few details of my own. So yeah, don't be thieves, do your own creative stuff. If you're inspired by our work, tag us on your photos on Instagram, we really like to see it. The last few steps on this face is to add catch lights and Perlix powder, and they are both gorgeous and ready to swim and fly. Because she's a demonic air mermaid. Airmaid. With the face up done, I painted the doll's head to match the hair color and began gluing on some wefts from goat hair, which kind of fits the classic devil theme, right? But then I remembered that the dolls are supposed to be demons, so I added some pins to serve as a base for future horns. They look like cute little antennas. I have to add aliens to the master list of the prompts. You can also add a suggestion for the random prompts in the comments with the styles, techniques, and themes. We pick ones that we like, but I can assure you we read every comment here on YouTube. I continued adding the hair, and since the new package of epoxy didn't arrive yet, I made the horns with polymer clay thinking I could take them off and bake them on their own. And at this stage, I definitely could not put the doll in the oven anymore, as I didn't know what would happen with the face. I couldn't take them off in one piece though, so I scrapped them and made them from Warbler instead. I think this is my first time working with this material, but I can't wait to use it again, in a more complicated project. They didn't turn out super symmetrical, but nobody's perfect, right? I tried to get the shape I wanted, but this material has to be constantly hot to be flexible. And I am a sensitive creature, so I gave up the perfection and chose to save my fingers. I decided to take a break from the head and address the boob situation. Barb and I had a few ideas for these, but we ended up doing a glued-on black feather boob thing. To tie the design together, I added similar painted details around the horns. I went the same route as with the face expressions, the same materials and colors, but different shapes.
No i tak mniej więcej, wiesz, żeby te loki były w jedną stronę.
To nie było moje pytanie, ale dzięki. We weren't entirely happy with the white hair, so I was tasked with making some wefts out of this mint green goat's hair, I think. Working with natural fibers is strange. With synthetic hair, you know where the fibers end, but here, it's a bit of a guessing game. I actually never watch our videos, so I don't know why Alex does this.
What?
Nie do ciebie gadam.
Oh yeah, that is true. No, nawet trochę grube, ale mogą być.
I'm not pulling here. None of it escapes the glue. But look how much hair I'm able to pull out. This is not good. And these fibers are really weird. After making sure I pulled out most of the loose hair and reattached them, it is time for a dye job, which I have not done for a doll before.
If anyone wondered, this is what I use for my hair. Or used to. I'm currently not dyeing my hair, but whatever. So we're gonna try to do a little bit of an ombre here.
I started by misting the hair with a bit of water. I've only done this on my head before, so I might be mistaken. Then I just started spreading the dye on the tips of the hair with the brush. Then, to make the transition between the colors less harsh, I thought I would sort of try to dry brush the dye up, but it tangled the hair a bit and didn't actually spread the dye. What I did instead is I picked up the hair into my hand, applied a bit more dye to the tip, and then blended the dye by holding the hair between my fingers and sliding the dye up and down with my hand. That way it didn't tangle as much.
15 minutes and we'll see if it looks nice. I washed it off after about 20 minutes. I'm gonna try to dry it now compared to non-dyed hair. I think I want to bring it higher, so I'll go, I think, about midway with the toner and then just blend it up so that there's more of the blue. And I am living my best, you know, life as a hairdresser. At least once when I was a child, I wanted to be doing this. So yeah, dreams come true, guys.
I did exactly what I said, so I brought up the paint a bit higher, and after prepping the wefts, I forwarded them to the hair expert.
The hair expert is actually a desperate crafter that doesn't really like this part of doll customizing. I think you don't come to our channel for elaborate hairstyles. Anyway, I'm adding the green and blue wefts. When you have horns and hair, it's kinda hard to make the part. I tried a few times to do it without any part, then I decided to do bangs, and then I tried a middle part, but this goat had to be extremely stubborn, just as her hair. I gave up further trying and decided to let Barb take care of it.
With the doll back at my workbench, I decided to give her a feather headpiece, so I started applying some cut down white feathers to cover the weft glue. I was sort of just putting things on the head and seeing what sticks.
What next?
I added some blue feather-like things and aimlessly tried to put some chains on the head.
Ola, ratuj. Nie podoba mi się.
Together with Alex, we tried some more chains, but it just wasn't the vibe. As per usual, when Alex and I are together, shenanigans were compulsory.
Jaki masz klej?
Taki. Polish joke.
Tu, patrz.
I wonder if it's tasty. Polish joke.
After recovering from that cringe fest, I glued on some more decorations, including this moon and sun, I guess, and some rhinestones, and I decided that I didn't like the straight hair, which I meticulously straightened before.
Curly girl method.
These are natural fibers, so they should curl up with some water and hair products, so I just did what I do on my own hair, and I hoped it would work.
This is a big ass diffuser for my own hair, but I don't know how else to do this, so. It's definitely lifted with the diffuser. How's that wet look? Let's crunch out the crunch. Mermaidy, I guess. I like it. Hola, do you like it? Jest bardzo organic. So yeah, sorry about the mess. I'm a mess. I
think it turned out very fitting for a mermaid.
So soft.
Now it's time to address the fin. I started my Worbla experiment with the black Worbla because I knew that 1, I could reshape it almost infinitely, and 2, I was sure I was gonna waste some and I didn't want to waste the clear in case I messed up really bad and just ran out before I did something nice. I tried a couple shapes to make them look like fins, but they just ended up looking like leaves. Or should I say, like hot garbage, because that's what it was really. I tried using metal sticks and making different types of edges, but I was hell-bent on making it ripply and bendy, and I think that was stalling my progress towards something that looked nice. I briefly entertained the idea of making feathers out of Worbla and making them into the fin, but that was short-lived and for a good reason, because it was nasty. At this point, I really liked this pulled or rippled edge on the black Worbla, but I was almost sure this wouldn't work with a clear as it has a different structure, but I was ready to test it out on a small piece. The clear Worbla is much different than the other types I worked with before, and it needs a lot more heat, and it isn't as pliable. I tried to give it that organic edge look with the scissors, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I was looking for, you know? I gave up on the idea of a lot of folds in the fin, and it ended up working out. Alex helped me make the shapes nice and not garbage-like. Filming clear things is not the easiest.
Ola, jest problem. Nie widać niewidzialnych rzeczy na kamerze.
I think the little camera screen was making it more dramatic than it really is now that I see it on the big screen. I began bending and twisting the pieces to give it some movement, flipping it to the doll and using random objects to prop it up to cool down into the desired shape.
To trzeba tak trzymać i tak mówić: hej, widzicie tu coś? Nie nudź, bo będzie copyright. Widzicie? Go ravenous me. Yeah.
Now, I feel a bit helpless when I don't get to sew for a project, but I tried to make myself useful and cut up some feathers since they're a bit of a focal point of the doll, being one of the random traits that we pulled. It's more of a time-consuming drag of a task, but it needs to be done. The doll can't stand on a regular doll stand, so I need to make something. I have this base, which is the third and last piece of this thing that I got from my ex. I took it apart and gave the glass dome to Alcio and the lights to Liberty, and now the base is Gemini's. I added an acrylic stick through the hole, and to the underside I glued some metal brackets I had an excess of, to weigh it down a bit and make sure the doll doesn't tip over.
Hopefully it will be heavy enough to hold a doll, but we'll see. Okay, I managed to fill it. It's pretty hefty. This is also pretty sturdy, so I think we're good on this front. It's still a bit warm, but I think it should do.
Attaching it to the doll was a bit of a challenge because the tail was in my way when I tried to drill a hole for the stand.
Jak to zrobić?
Chcesz rozjebać moje 3 dupy?
3 dupy?
Nie widzisz, są 3 dupy? No, każda po jednej i jedna wspólna.
I need to make it so that this can go in, maybe with a knife. A knife! No! To make it more better, basically.
I ended up going with the ball Dremel attachment, and it was the best way to make way for the stick to go up in there.
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna be good.
I glued it in so that it also touched the tail in one more spot for stability. While I had the Dremel out, I widened the hand pegs, which puffed up a bit during baking. Now the forearms fit.
To make the fin visible, I added blue paint in chaotic stripes. I've seen a transparent fin making technique in one of Catmillion's Mermaid videos, and I thought we can also make the fin stiffer with UV resin. It was a bit sticky, so we decided to try water curing for the first time. Basically, you put the pre-hardened resin in some water and cure it again. This made it not sticky anymore. It's because of oxygen or something. They turned out super shiny and exactly how I imagined them. To add some more of the air vibes, I added some cotton to the stand to make the doll float between some clouds. I'm gluing the fins to the doll and adding blue and white feathers between them to make it more bird-like and cover the hard edges. The last thing is a pair of wings. When I started to make them, I didn't know where exactly they would go, so I did a pair of white and a pair of red wings. I decided to use only the red ones and place them on the head to add a vibrant pop of color to the top of the design. And after adding this feathery accent, we can call her done.
This is how she turned out. Alex and I joked that since it's Gemini, the names should be Gem and Nye, two mermaid demon twins. I hope you like this demon mermaid as much as we do, and frankly, I hope you like her as much as Nerine, our other demon mermaid. If this video seems a bit unpolished, and I don't mean that we are less Polish because we are the same amount Polish, or maybe rushed, then I apologize, but we're currently on a plane to Spain because I have some PhD work to do there and we are gone for a few weeks. While we're gone though, make sure to visit our doll friends who also participated in this mermaid collab. Visit Jackie O, Steffu Doll, I Could Do That DIY, The Hatter Dolls, Dolly Pop, Blurred Colors Art, and Electric Bunny.
I fell in love with mermaids because of the Little Mermaid animated movie when I was a child. When I was a teen, I was watching One Piece, and since then, mermaids are my favorite fantasy creatures. Do you have a favorite mermaid show? Let us know in the comments down below.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Have an enchanted day, and we will see you next time. Bye! This video was made thanks to our lovely Patreons. The biggest credit goes to our top tier Lost Sisters supporters, including a new sister, Melly Helen Burns, Call Me Ash, Erica Warren, Erin McCoy, and Red X. We also thank our cousin tier Patreons, Kaylee M, Brunch, Melissa Novoa, Rinth, Fun of TA, Marilyn McGraw, Aaliyah J, Catherine G, Ashley, Etwell, Michelle Sweeney, Hannah Lemon, Elise Sherbet, Zari, Genevieve Duflock, Amelia Blackwood, Andrea Bridgedare, Ghostly Gardens, The Barbie Witch, Bowen, Inca, Stephanie, Tiffany Jeffords, Carajo, Landy Monk, Katie Baker, Karabu, Siv's Party, Dragonart Customs, Uzi, Ninja Star Dezino, Dream Up, and last but not least, Catherine Naughton. I did it in one take this time. Clap. Yay! Thank you, patrons. I love you. Bye!